There's a lot of great challenges we get to face as parents. How to deal with sibling rivalry in toddlers is one of the first ones. Little kids are little kids.
That's true.
We can kind of expect them to act like little kids too. And it's pretty common for little kids, and especially toddlers, to get kind of possessive or to have some rivalry with their siblings, right?
Yep. Fighting is a normal part of their maneuvering the world.
Exactly. And one of the things that's important to understand about child development, and especially with toddlers, is that they have a really difficult time regulating their own affect or emotions and their behaviors. So we can't really expect them to handle this on their own.
Yeah, they don't even know how. We had a friend recently, she was talking about, she picked up her toddler son, I think he's 3, and he had been playing with his best friend, which is also his cousin. She said when they get in the car to go home, it's kind of like confession session. And he tells all the naughty things he'd been doing. She's like, well, you don't hit your cousin. He goes, but I want to hit. Or she'd say, you don't bite your cousin, but I want to bite. And so there's that whole thing. Even though she's told him before and he knows he's not supposed to hit or bite, he wants to. And that kind of rules his behavior in the moment.
Right, because he doesn't have the capability at 3 years old to regulate and monitor his behavior the way that we would hope that he would learn to do eventually. So just get it in your head, first of all, this is what kids are like. And as we adjust our expectations, we feel less frustration.
But you're not saying it's okay to just let them do this, right?
Exactly. I mean, we're here as parents for a purpose, right?
Right.
So, well, first of all, remember your job as a parent is
to love them no matter what and even if.
Yes, love them no matter what and even if. Now, that being said, there are some things that we can do as parents to assist them in regulating their own behavior.
And one of the first things I think you need to remember is they are toddlers. And there are stages of development. We've talked a lot about the stages of moral development, but there's also just the developmental norms that you would expect with a young child.
Right.
And so we got to become aware of those.
Vicki, when you mention development, one of the things that comes to mind, first of all, especially for young kids, is the importance of proximity. What have you learned about that as you've worked with kids?
So one of the most important things with proximity, when you've got a young toddler in particular, let's talk about the toddlers, if they are doing something physical that you want them to change, you need to be in close proximity to them when you give them that correction. And the reason for that is when they don't, and you notice I didn't say if, but when they don't comply right from the very beginning, you physically guide them to the compliance.
What? They're not going to listen the first time?
Nope. And so
especially from across the room.
Right. So if you train them, I'm going to say it from across the room, they're not going to do it, I'm going to have to say it again. You're actually training them to wait until you have said it 2, 3, 4 times. And how many of us moms don't already have that going on in our life? It's like, why do I have to say it 10 times before you listen? So with a child, especially a toddler, be in proximity. When you want to change one of their physical behaviors, you need to be in their proximity to help them change that behavior. Now, it does a couple of things. One, you don't say it again. And so that's taken away that middle repeating. But also, we talked about how they don't really have that self-regulation. They don't have the self-regulation. So helping them immediately perform the action you're asking them to do,
physically guiding them to do
physically guiding them, is actually kind of setting up neural pathways for them to be successful the next time.
Right.
You're training that behavior.
Now let's take a more broad look at this for just a moment, because the sibling rivalry that we're talking about, typically it's a problem because of the kinds of behaviors they're doing. Maybe they're fighting or arguing, and that's why it becomes an issue. We strongly recommend that you establish some family rules around the general principles that we want people to follow. And the three, I love these 3 family rules, Vicki, because they're simple.
Right.
And you don't have to have a big, long, comprehensive list of rules. Your kids will find something that's not on the list. Trust me. Rule number 1, respect yourself and others.
Yep.
That's going to address the sibling rivalry directly.
Yeah, so we sit down. And you notice that if we're talking sibling rivalry, unless you're like my friend who has triplets that are 3, 2.5, you're talking about a toddler and probably an older child too.
Right.
And so you've got the respect yourself and others, and there's going to be a different way that you can address that respect for a toddler versus maybe the 4 or 5-year-old that you're fighting, but it's the same rule.
And you can put this into terms that they will understand easily. I've worked with kids as young as 3 or 4 years old, and they pick up on this idea of respect as being nice. Yeah. And so they'll latch onto it. They'll be able to do that. Rule number 2, respect property.
Right.
This is all about stuff. And some of the sibling rivalries that happen are around possessions or toys or stuff.
Right.
So we teach that second rule, respect property, which means take care of things. Don't take things that don't belong to you. Put things in their place.
Right.
And rule number 3, you're going to love this one, okay? Because this is the catch-all to pick up everything we missed. Cooperate and obey. We instill those 3 rules as part of our family culture, and then we enact appropriate discipline around those 3 rules. So any violation of those rules, including hitting your brother or taking something away from your sister, those things have appropriate consequences within the discipline. Maybe one final thought, Vicki, and we've talked about this on other videos as well. Every interaction we have with our children will invite them to do one of 2 things: think or fight.
Yeah. So we really want to find ways with our toddlers, we're talking about toddlers in particular, to find ways to help them think about things. And I think that's one of the reasons it's important to have those family rules established, because instead of just saying, don't do that, that's not nice, you are kind of reiterating the family rules, and you're saying, do you think that when you do X, Y, Z, that it's going with our family rules or against them? But you're kind of inviting them to process it themselves. Now, remember, they're 2, so there might not be a lot of processing. You might just have to tell them, oh, that's not respecting
Another
property.
important acknowledgement, Vicki, when you brought us back to the young children especially, modeling.
Right.
Extremely important. If you're all uptight as a parent, if you're yelling and screaming, guess what you're modeling for your kids? And I know that bites a little, because we all get tipped over from time to time.
You bet.
And we know that you want to stop yelling and get your kids to listen without having to yell at them. Remember to model the kind of behavior that you're hoping to see in your kids too. You've got this. As a conscious, positive parent, you've got this. And we've got your back too. Vicki and I have teamed up to provide for you a training that you can actually get into free of charge at parentingpowerup.com, where we want to help you to feel more confident as a parent in these skills we talk about here on the channel. Hope you'll join us there.
Down, face locked onto the phone.